right. Welcome to the Gym Business Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Lyons, joined in studio in the new room with the brick wall and the wood wall. Randy Angston, what's up, buddy?
How we doing?
Doing good, man. I was doing some research for a presentation I'm doing later on this year, and I was pulling up industry data on micro gyms, training gyms, and what's the monthly gross revenue, what's the averages, and I created kind of like a bell curve, just like any array of numbers is always kind of falls into a bell curve,
Sure.
right? And everybody who's seen a bell curve, been in school or whatever, it's like, it looks like a bell, and in the middle, that's like the greatest numbers, the average, and then you have the outliers on the outside, on the low and the high side, and then just kind of everybody falls into that kind of range. And looking at our industry as far as, let's just say micro gym, training gym style, and that could be anything from like a CrossFit or a class-based to a one-on-one personal training studio. Anybody that's listening to this podcast knows what I'm talking about. The average gross revenue per month was just under $19,000 a month. And what was more interesting was that 90% of the industry does less than $40,000 a month in gross revenue. Okay. So these are just real numbers, not my numbers. These are from State of the Industry reports, as well as through some of our own data from one of our billing partners has given us. Bottom line is this: 90% are under 40,000. The average is 19. And you start looking at what the models are that drive those numbers, right? And just like anybody can say, hey, I have a gym that is this model and I do X. Well, you're an outlier.
Sure.
But the majority kind of live, in these bell curve ranges. And really what I'm trying to say is there's three kind of types of training models. It's the group class style, large group. You got semi-private training and you got one-on-one training. And it was really interesting to see that the kind of like the bottom 50% was 90% of those were large group training gyms. Okay. So it's like large group training gyms are obviously the lower half of those numbers, and the higher half of those numbers were semi-private training gyms. And you start to think about why, like what's going on. Well, one of the obvious truth is the price per member,
Yep.
right? Like, you just charge more for semi-private training, and one-on-one training, personal training is always on the higher side as far as cost per month. But obviously, on the lower end, there's more volume.
Volume, yeah.
So you got large group training gyms that are, the majority are under $200 a month. Let's just call it 179 is about where they all sit in the averages. You have to have a lot more members. I mean, if you just do the math, like you'd have to have 200 members at $200 a month to make $40,000 a month. Okay. And for a large group training gym to have 200 members at $200 a month, that's your outlier, right?
Yeah.
And again, 90% live at that number and lower. Okay. And so you start to think about like, okay, is this the best it gets? And it's really a question for the gym owners listening to this. Is this the best it gets for you in your model? And typically I would say your model, the ceiling on your revenue is capped by your model.
I would agree.
Period. End of story. Large group training gyms, yeah, there's some out there that do $1 million. I know it. But again, 90%, and actually the majority are going to be in that $20,000 and less.
And less, yeah.
And so I went to a seminar even 2 years ago at this point, a guy named Jay Abraham, right? Jay Abraham is a kind of a guru, a grandfather of the, digital marketing. He's a business coach. And you put up a slide up there. It says the only economic reason to be in a particular business is to beat the next best use of that capital, time, and energy. What does that mean? It means if I'm going to spend the time in the business that I'm in, it needs to beat every other option out there because I only have a finite amount. There is no finite amount of time and energy that I can spend. So might as well make it the best I can.
Correct, yeah.
Or change something.
Yep.
And to me, that hits home really, really hard because, there's a lot of things I could do. There's a lot of things you could do. Is this the best use of your time? What business model you're in? Is this the best use of it? And if you're in a large group training gym right now, the answer is no. That is not the best use of your time, capital, and energy in that model. If it's an economic reason.
There you go.
And that was the start of my quote. The only economic reason to be in a particular business is to beat the next best use of that time, capital, and energy. Well, the next best use is to change your model to another model that will drive higher revenue, right? And so, the obvious question is, well, does higher revenue mean higher net profit? Does it mean higher net owner benefit? The answer is yes as well to that question, because, I know a guy that does $1 million doesn't make any money, and a guy that does 200,000 makes 100 grand. The answer to, obviously you could have higher expenses and a higher model, but like you don't have to. And semi-private training, which is so nice about it, it's the thing that we kind of like preach, our flag in the ground for many, many moons. It's the best of every world.
Yeah.
It doesn't exponentially increase expenses while it exponentially increases gross revenue. The other side of that is, I'm starting to see it now more and more. CrossFits are starting to adopt semi-private.
Yep.
They have to. The ratings on the wall. The large group training model is a complete red ocean. I've been saying it for years. And just, for those of you who don't know what a red ocean terminology means, it means that there's bloody water, a lot of competition, and you're going to fight tooth and nail. And usually you compete on price in that red water because everybody's doing the same thing.
Yep.
And you look at a large group training gym, it's very easy to open up a large group training gym. It doesn't take a lot of capital. There's not a lot of equipment. You can go in a warehouse somewhere and get cheap rent, pay your coaches per class, cheap, charge a little bit, and you're in business. Doesn't mean you're going to make it. You're actually going to be in that bell curve on the south side of that 50% line.
Well, and the one thing that you hit, especially when it comes to the challenges for a large group, is it's a volume play.
Yes.
And if we're talking about the most difficult, if you're going to spend money in the marketplace to acquire a client, right, wrong, wouldn't you like to have a service that the client's paying more for than less? Of course. When it comes to the volume, then what we see with large group is they're competing on something in an arena where there is no unique identifier, no unique mechanism, no unique anything to their delivery of that service. And to your point, the marketplace sees it as the same. So your business doing large group is competing with the gym down the street doing large group, and the gym down the street doing large group. And we watched it influx of gyms, probably because it was a low cost of overhead. It's an enjoyable workout for a coach. I mean, I get it, right? It's fun. It's motivating. It's the rah-rah, the high fives and chest bumps. It can be fun. But to your point about economics, it's also the most challenging of all of those probably to see success. And I would say more than anything else is because of the volume. It's really difficult using almost any form of marketing right now to attract gym clients to any gym. And if you're competing with the most competitive, or if you're entering the arena with the most competitive deliverable, going for as many of those bodies as you can at a time where the marketplace is extremely difficult to acquire clients, how far are you going to get? And that's where the data shows, right? Like, this isn't an emotional conversation where we're just trying to rag on the model. It's data-driven decision making, and you as the owner, you are in a position to do you want to continue down that path and battle everybody else to try and earn that one next client? Can you get to 300-400 members in your gym successfully in your demographic with a brick and mortar with all the competition that you have? Or do you want to bring something unique that's different than what everyone else is doing? Yes, it does carry a higher cost, but it's that old adage, right? You can make $1 with 10 dimes, or you can make $1 with 4 quarters. I would rather serve 4 quarters, 4 clients equating to that $100 than 10 of them.
Yeah.
One thing that we don't think about when we're doing that model is the delivery is managing all of those bodies is, the Dunbar number of 150 relationships that somebody can personally manage and own. Can you do that to 300, 400, 500 members in order to be the outlier in a large group scenario? Everybody believes that they can be.
Right.
But unfortunately, like, the math is the math, and what we see consistently is that you fall right there somewhere in the average. And unless you have something that's different and can differentiate yourself in the marketplace, you're going to fall right there, somewhere in there.
Yeah, no matter how hard you work.
And
I think you nailed it, because the cost per acquisition is not going down. So
Correct.
everybody understands what that is. It's like you're going to spend money on marketing, you're going to get some amount of clients. How much do you have to spend to acquire a client? And try to offset that hard cost with, what you're making on the first month, right? Like if you're only collecting $150 on the first month, you can only, what are you going to spend? $600, $800 to acquire a client? No, you want to get somewhere as close to 150 or less. And so it doesn't give you as much ammunition to compete in the market. You nailed that too. At the end of the day, like, you're an owner. You decided to go down this path for a reason. Maybe you were a technician and you come from the training side and you would believe like, hey, I'm going to enjoy this. And while 100% of that could be the motivator to get into the business, what's going to keep you in the business is revenue.
What it does for
profit.
you. Yeah.
So unfortunately, I just see it too often. Gym owners not paying themselves. Gym owners barely scraping by. Gym owners, training every session, not able to hire staff, not able to spend a ton on marketing. Struggle because it's a financial thing. Even though you enjoy it, even though the good work you're doing is helping clients. And unfortunately, unless you change the model typically you're in, you will be in that struggle bus forever, because there is a hard ceiling on a model. Now, the other side of that fence is like the ceiling on large group versus there is a ceiling on semi-private. There's a ceiling on one-on-one. But the ceilings are much, much higher.
Yeah.
Much higher. And it's just math, right? And so you have a decision to make, gym owners. Like, look, you've got a family, probably kids, wife, husbands, whatever. Retirement, your lifestyle, like all these things go into this equation. If you know the data, and again, this is emotion aside, this is data, and the data says, the bottom 50% is 90% large group. The 90% of the entire industry average is under 40,000. The top 10% of gyms are typically with a semi-private training model. Doesn't it make sense to change your model? As hard as it may be, it's also hard not making money.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you can also be I believe, even more proud of the product that you put on the table to serve your clientele in a semi-private training model versus large group. And just so everybody's clear, because I had this conversation with a gym owner last week, semi-private training is not large group training with less people.
Good point.
It is just not it. Semi-private training is customized programming, i.e. where the value is what they're paying for. It's not they're paying for more attention, they're paying for customization. And if you cannot customize down to the individual movement pattern and score it and do all the stuff that you can prove what it's worth, you're not going to be able to charge premium prices for, call it small group personal training, which is just large group with less people. This is the most common mistake that's made when gym owners are trying to bring in a premium service, is they just believe that less people is the value.
Yeah, they're just chasing that one-on-one in a way without
Less
it being...
people is not the value.
Yep.
In fact, I'd even argue more people is more valuable than less people in many instances. Having more people, tribe mentality, you attract better, I like it better, I've got more energy. Some of that is more valuable than having less people. Think about all the way down to a one-on-one where you actually just have to have a conversation with one person. That's not as valuable to some people.
Correct.
But where the value lives in a semi-private training model is customized training at scale. We call it scalable semi-private training, period, end of story. Like that is what the value is. That's what people will pay for. Oh, this is for me. Oh, that's my workout. My workout's completely different than his workout and her workout. This is more valuable to me. That is what the client is saying. If you cannot deliver that product because you're just thinking, hey, we're just going to scale down the amount of people, they're still going to do a WOD format and they're just going to kind of like scale up and down a little bit, but everybody's doing kettlebell swings. maybe somebody's doing 35 and somebody's doing a 90 pounder and somebody, whatever. That's not what I'm talking. That's not what people are paying for.
And there's evidence to that too because of attendance in large group. Average attendance across the board, same industry reports, are saying that 6 people is still the average attendance in a large group format. If it was an exclusivity thing and gyms said, oh, well, only 6 people are attending, let me bump up my prices because you're getting that much more added time and attention, then you as a large group training model would be able to scale your rates
without any losses.
But you're not without the loss, but you're not. You can't because again, it's not the limited number, it's the individualized component.
Yeah, just think if you this is funny. Let's just say you're $200 a month, and then the next morning you decide you're going to change and raise everybody's rate to $400 a month, and the only thing you're giving them is less people. You're going to lose everybody.
Yeah,
that's what most gyms try to do. We're gonna have this higher price point, but the physical workout, the programming, the deliverable of that product doesn't change. It just has less human beings to compete with, so i.e. more attention. In fact, most clients want less attention. If we're being honest, don't look at me. I don't want to be seen, right? Like that's the opposite of what you need to be doing. They're going to leave. There's no value there.
correct.
And so again, there's more steps to taking on a semi-private training the way that we teach it in the semi-private, where you're going to get up to $1 million, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 recurring revenue models. Guys, and when we say $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 months, this is in one product, not total gym revenue. You can have also supplements and nutrition programs and things on top of that number, but what we discuss, and I don't think we talk about it enough, we're talking about the recurring revenue in the deliverable of semi-private training, not total gym revenue. You can make more than that in a gym. It's just that what we're talking about is the product, the membership, semi-private.
And one addition to that too, because it goes hand in hand, is that's recurring revenue, not a single month where we hit 80 or a gym hit 70, 80, and the next month, because they did a high ticket program or they did some sort of front loaded offer where cool, we made the money, but now we're on the hook to service those clients for a while. That's $70,000 this month. That's $70,000 the next month. That's $70,000 the month after. Obviously, probably growing. Yeah, exactly.
74.
But that's not money that's just in the business and then gone the next, right? And that's a big deal. And I think we've always talked about recurring revenue and it being one of the biggest values of this industry that unfortunately gym owners squander all of the time.
Yeah, because they're looking for the money grabs.
Yeah, we grasp at straws, and then now you're on the hook to service that client, but you've spent that money, and now you got to go again remarket, resell. It's cyclical. I think that the biggest thing is you hit it with the kind of choosing your hard, right? It's hard not making revenue, not bringing in enough revenue to pay your bills. Maybe you have a part-time job on the side of your gym, or your spouse is carrying the weight and covering the gap. Things like that. Like that's the norm with a lot of the large group gyms that we work with and have seen. Would you rather make a hard decision and spend the next 6 months transitioning your gym to be out of that hole forever? Or are you banking on the fact that you truly believe large group has the ability to get you where you want to go by acquisition? One thing that you mentioned that I think needs to be we really need to highlight is the fact that most of those gyms are also not in a position to where they have a consistent marketing budget where they can afford to spend what they need to spend to get where they want to go. We had a conversation because of the acquisition costs and the competition and all of those things. Zach and I were talking with one of our coaching clients, and their large group model, their acquisition cost wasn't covered by their membership till almost month 11. You're acquiring a client on an annual contract, and you're getting 1 month's profitability out of that acquisition. That'll kill you.
That's surprising.
It's a massive sinking ship.
That's surprising, right?
Yeah. And that was again kind of an anomaly. I mean, most are 3-4 months before they're breaking even. But again, we're looking at average retention in large group 9.8 months. And that was here when we got rid of it.
That was I think it's
I think
less
it's
than
way
that.
less now.
Yeah,
I mean,
less than that.
Orange Theory said 3 months for themselves, and so that's something you guys have to consider. We talk about lifetime value of a client. How long is somebody in your business? Not the anomalies, not the 3 people that have been with you since you opened. The average, and I would be willing to bet if you know your numbers in a large group model, a lot of you are actually acquiring clients and never actually making the money back to cover the cost of the acquisition with the amount of time that they're staying in your business. It's scary.
It's very possible. I mean,
it's scary.
You can't run that formula that long, or else you'll be out of business.
But again, then we look at the numbers of the business, right? They're not profitable, meaning that's exactly it, right? It's a sinking ship, and you're having to funnel money from savings from somewhere else just to keep the doors open.
Yeah.
So back to the kind of choose your hard. We obviously hope we coach gym owners to making the transition to scalable semi-private for a reason. If you do believe that you're in that seat where you're battling large group and you know that this is an available option for you, take a serious look, right? What are the options you have in your large group gym to actually get out of the hole, to actually get to the position you want to be?
Yeah.
If you were to sit back and say, and let's just say, not even considering the math of the business, but like, what is the revenue? If you were going to get a traditional job, what is the salary that you would be okay with for your lifestyle, for the life that you want, for the bills that you have for your family, all of that type of stuff? Then go and look at your business. Does it even have the ability to pay you that with everything that you have available? And unfortunately, large group is just, it's dismal. It's very, very few that get.
Yeah. So let's do some math. I mean, people are always like wondering, like, what is owner benefit as a percentage of gross revenue? I don't know if anybody's actually. I asked that question. If you look at kind of like the profit first methodology, 10% net profit, 15% owner pay, that's 25%. Then throw another 5% in for miscellaneous owner expenses that are run through the business. So you're at 30%. Okay, 30% of a average gym doing $20,000 a month times, so it's $240,000 a year. 30% of that is $72,000. That's, is that good enough? That's 30% net owner benefit. That's not what you pay yourself, because you're going to owe taxes on the pay you pay yourself, and you're also going to owe taxes on the business profit. And then the other portions of those expenses aren't revenue. They're not income to you. They're just being paid by from the business. So like your cell phone. So that's total net owner benefit. Like things that I don't know, you just took your car to Costco and ran it through the business on accident, quote unquote on accident. That's the global 75% or 75,000, 72,000 in that equation. I don't know if that's good enough, to be honest with you. I would want to be all the risks that I put into a business, I want to be north of 200,000 a year.
Unless the one thing that also has to be talked about there is like, that's perfection. That's having your numbers there.
That's having profit.
That's with profit, in enforcing the owner benefit, your own pay, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Are you paying yourself in that seat right
I'm
now?
saying in a perfect profit first scenario.
That's exactly. And how many gyms do we know that's where their numbers are? It's a few. So, maybe it's 50K, and then all of those taxes and everything on top of that.
So in a $20,000 gym, you take 30% out of that, so it's $6,000. You're operating your entire business on $14,000 a month. That includes rent and payroll and marketing and utilities. Is that even possible? Maybe in some markets, very few. That's just not enough.
Yeah.
The point to the message is most of you want more. I would hope you want more. You're a type A personality. You took the risk of owning a gym. Like, you just signed your name on the line. Let's hope for the best. No, like, let's earn this. Let's make sure this thing works for you. Let's make sure it pays you, pays your coaches, you're not having to worry about money. Like, that's the thing in business. You do it right, you should not have to worry about money because it's always there if you do it right. And unfortunately, I just don't see that a whole lot in gyms. I just don't. This is the industry we're in. We know the industry average numbers. Take a look at your lifestyle. Is this going to serve you in the long run? Because there's a lot of other industries that would do they're a lot easier to make more money in.
Oh, yeah.
You just may not enjoy it if it's a money thing. So it's just like this, it's just, teeter-totter or yin and yang. I enjoy what I do. It doesn't pay me. I don't enjoy what I do. It does pay me. Which one do you want? And so I would think most gym owners live in that altruistic yin and yang where it's like, hey, I do enjoy this. I just don't make a lot of money and I'm okay with it. You can make a lot of money in this industry and enjoy it too.
Yeah, we did a podcast. Zach and I did a podcast a month or two ago. They're not mutually exclusive.
Right.
You can serve the industry. You can get clients great results. You can have a great community. And you can pay yourself at the end of the day. Like, it's not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing.
And I'd be willing to bet that you'll pay yourself, or that business will be around a lot longer if that's the scenario, versus you having to, ask the spouse to cover your rent this month because the money's not in the business, or dip into savings another month. Those types of things. So, yeah, it's.
And there's a lot of reasons we're in this position. We'll do another show on this in another day. But at the end of the day, this is what I want you guys to understand. There's a bell curve in this industry. There's a middle of the road line. The majority of the gyms live around $20,000 a month. There's an outlier of, north of 40% of $40,000 is only 10% of the industry. That's north of $40,000 per month. So 90% of gyms are living at less than 40. Okay. And at the 50% line, if you go 20,000 and under, 90% of those gyms are large group training gyms. Okay. So what are the other 10% that live on the north side of the 50, right? That's your semi-private training gyms. They charge more. They have less clients. They have less headaches. They have more revenue, more recurring. They're not scrambling. It's just a better model, period. So yes, you can be in this industry, have a semi-private training model, enjoy what you do, be proud of your product that you're serving. Because the one thing that we didn't really touch on is the product that you give to your client. You need to be proud of that.
Yeah.
And if you look at your WOD of the day type of style workouts with no modifications and everybody's just fire breathers, is that the best product? Is that how you even train yourself?
Just gonna say, right?
And there's just so many there's so many things that don't align.
Inconsistencies.
So listen, guys, there is a better path. We have the way. We call it the way.
It is. This is the way.
We have books for you. We got this podcast for you. We got workshops for you. We got our Grow Summit for you. We got coaching programs for you. It's all here. We're teaching this to gym owners every single day, constantly taking gym owners from that, 18, 15, 18, 20,000 up to 30, 40, $50,000 a month. And it happens pretty quick. All within 12 months. If you've been in, we've taken gyms that have been in business 17 years, and never made more than 20 grand a month to 50,000 in 1 year, just by changing a few things. So guys, if that's what you want, we've got the resources for you. We'd love to help you guys out. You book a call or whatever. This link will be in the show notes, but you got to look inward. This is your choice. This is your chance. And it's only going to get harder from here. It's going to be harder to acquire clients. It's going to be harder to compete in all the markets. So why not set yourself up with a model that doesn't have such a low ceiling that you can break through it and make the revenue that you deserve and that you can be proud of the product.
Yeah.
That's it, guys. Hopefully that helps you. Kick you in the ass a little bit, get you moving. We want to see you win. That's it for this episode. Until next time, keep changing lives. We'll see you on the next show. Bye. All right. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Built to Grow podcast. If you want more help growing your business, join our free Facebook group, Profit Accelerator, helping training gyms grow to $30,000 a month and beyond. We'd love to see you there. Go check out the show notes for the link and keep building something great. And we'll see you in the next episode.